Good evening. I apologize for the wind. It is currently September the 30th, and this is my mid-fall update for the garden. Right here, this is really the most active part of the garden right now. Mostly just mustard greens, arugula, and some more field mustard. I already pulled up the corn and the beans already. I'll show that in a few minutes first. Now, thankfully, it looks like I might actually get some spinach this year. I planted this on the 18th, so about a couple weeks ago, and it's finally emerging. Thankfully, just in time for the weather to cool down. I've had poor experience in the past growing spinach, mainly due to the very short window of time to grow spinach in Ohio. It gets very hot quickly during the spring, and the weather just immediately cools down in the fall. So far, the weather's been cooling down slowly right now, so that helps a lot with growing spinach. Over here is a special kind of turnip called 7-top. It really doesn't have much of a root to it. It's mainly just a biennial mustard. Very good as far as germination rates concerned. I'm hoping I can get some greens later this fall. First off, before mentioning the lettuce though, here are the carrots. I don't see any more black swallowtail caterpillars though. These really tall ones right here are probably ready to harvest. Here are the early scarlet horn carrots, smaller than the others. And the ones I planted on August. And over here, this is the last bit of carrots. I probably planted these a bit too late. These were planted on the beginning of September. So I don't know if they'll be able to mature fast enough to get any carrots from them. We'll see. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the other bed with the lettuce. Really not much to see here, but if you look closely, you can see the lettuce is finally sprouted. I planted it a couple weeks ago, and looks like I might actually get some romaine lettuce. And if anyone here was paying attention to the news, there was a recall of romaine lettuce last year due to an E. coli outbreak. Hoping in case there is another recall for greens, I have some just in case. Probably should have planted a bit more, but hopefully that's enough. Under here, finally, looks like more of the Yodfa kale is sprouting. I am hoping, if you can see those sprouts there, hoping I can get some greens once the tomatoes have to be pulled up. There's still a few tomatoes on the plants, but the blight's catching up with them. Over here, I finally pulled up all the corn, and I put in a cover crop of vetch and Siberian kale. Based on what I've read about cover crops, you're supposed to pull up the cover crop before the plant is ready to harvest, and either turn it into the soil, chop and drop basically, or compost the cover crop. Now, I may have made a mistake by planting a cover crop that's actually edible. Based on what I read, vetch can be eaten like a green pea, or actually picked when fully ripe and then soaked and boiled like fava beans. But hopefully I didn't mess up this time. Over here, there's still the volunteer tomatoes, but I'm going to be pulling them up in a few weeks once the frost hits. They're still pumping out little cherry tomatoes. I've been eating them along with some of the other stuff I get from the garden. Now we move on to the other bed where I had the beans. I am quickly approaching the point where I have to pull up all of my beans left. There's only a few cowpeas left maturing here. One right here, and a few others. Other than that, I'm gonna have to pull up the cowpeas. Right here are the lamb's quarters, producing lots of flowers. They still haven't shattered yet. And finally, this lettuce is finally mature that I can eat it. Sadly, it's already kind of late, and we have to pull up the lettuce and the mustard. So my neighbor can go ahead and plant milkweed here. I might actually film planting milkweed, because the good thing about milkweed is some parts of milkweed are edible. Like the pods, the young shoots can be eaten after they've been cooked. Another cool thing about milkweed is you can actually use the stems of the milkweed to make a rope or even a cloth similar to linen. Right here, of course, the mustard is doing fine. Some of the cabbage worm damage is slowed down a bit, but there are still some caterpillars in here. Hoping I can eat some of the mustard for lunch tomorrow. And on the other side, right here, it's getting to a point where the hyacinth beans are becoming difficult for me to pick. These are, the hyacinth beans right here. And over here, the Roma tomatoes, because it's late in the year, once the frost hits, I'm probably going to have to pull up all the green tomatoes and then ripen them indoors. Hopefully they still taste good. Thankfully I already saved seeds for this variety. I'm hoping I can grow it again next year. And right here is the Bolsontle. It still hasn't started shattering yet, but if you look closely you can see the seed heads. They look very similar to the lamb's quarters. So I do not deny that these are from the same family. And right here is the only amaranth plant that's flowering. Doesn't look like it's got to shatter yet. Hopefully I get some seeds from it. So that's about it right now, for except for one other bed. Now let me go ahead and show the last remaining bed that I pulled up. This was the other Three Sisters bed earlier in the year. I had pulled up all of the corn and the remaining squash vines. Now, like the other bed, I also put in a cover crop of Siberian Kale and Vetch. It should be a week or two before the seeds here sprout. It's rained for several days, so that slowed down the planting. I ended up planting this a few days later than the other bed. So, things are starting to slow down for the garden this year, but hopefully I can also do better with the garden next year. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like this video, you can go ahead and subscribe, but I'm not very good at editing. Anyway, goodbye.